have you been thinking about Pope John Paul II Catholic School, or actually
it's
Catholic
never
Central?
been out of my mind, really.
Really?
Because I had just finished building St. Benedict's Church in, I think it was 81. And it was 1983, I can remember it well. These two ladies from the parish, both of them were, one of them was a doctor, the other was the wife of a doctor, Mrs. Pasalacqua, you know the name, and Mrs. Calloway. And she was a doctor, Dr. Xenia Calloway. And they came, I remember it well, came into my office and they said, we're a part of a group that were thinking of starting a private school. And it occurred to us that if we could get the Catholic Church to sponsor that school, it would be better all the way around. Are you interested? I said, by all means, I am interested because I've just finished the church and I need some new challenging project. I'm very interested. Well, that summer, we had a meeting in the building out next to Seven Rivers Hospital. And I remember there were a lot of people who were not Catholic, and they were still thinking of a sort of independent private school. But by that time, I was thinking, and these two ladies that talked to me were thinking, Catholic school. And so we presented our proposal for a Catholic school there at that spot, and that sort of torpedoed the concept of a just ordinary private school. So from there we went through the winter, and at the early spring I had the opportunity to talk to Mrs. Emma Pruden. And she was the granddaughter of the founder of a furniture factory up in northwest Ohio, and the Pilliot family. And they were in the process of selling this furniture factory, and she was to receive $20 million from the sale. Now, I didn't know this, but I did know Emma, and she's a gracious lady, and her roommate, Elsie Cook. And Elsie was the one that tipped me off that she had money. So as we were talking, I said, Emma, would you like to create a nice memorial to your beloved grandfather who provided you with this landfall that's coming to you? She said, I surely would. I said, well, I made a mistake. I could have said $2 million, $3 million. I said, well, how about $1 million to start a Catholic school here in Citrus County? She said, I'd love to. It could have been more money.
We learn as we go, right?
I missed the boat on that one. But anyway, $1 million seemed like an awful lot of money to me. And when she said yes, I knew we had that school. It was in the bag. So I had good leverage with the diocese, and they supported me 100%. The bishop was Bishop Thomas Larkin. And anyway, we decided on Central Catholic School of Citrus County, and he decided that it would be an interparochial school, not just a parochial school that we originally had been thinking of. And we searched around for property. We found a site that was suitable at the present site of the school, but then we had to have temporary facilities because we wanted to get started right away. See, this was the summer of August of '85. We occupied our temporary quarters for the school, which was, of course, the apex of 486 and 44, two highways leading into the east side of Crystal River. That happened to be a evangelical school that had closed because of lack of funds. I don't know how long it had been closed. It had been a couple of years that it was closed, I think. But the buildings were in fairly good shape, and it took, you might say, minimal changes and additions to make it usable. And we started out that August with less than 50, but more than 40 pupils. Originally, we were going to keep it on a small scale because, frankly, I had not had time to consult with the other pastors, and incidentally, there wasn't the unanimous feeling among the pastors that we needed parochial schools. The church in 1980, 81, in Citrus County was still in the state, something of an infant stage. It had a lot of developing and growing to do. So I thought interparochial was the only way to go. And we had 3 grades. I don't know if we had kindergarten that first year or not. I don't think we did. And incidentally, the Lord was with me because I had a wonderful assistant at that time, Sister Loyola, from Cincinnati, Ohio. And she was a member of the Sisters of Charity. Started with Mother Seton, you know. So she took over really in the administration of the school. Everything just fell into place.
Why do you think it's so important to people that Catholic education or that this school happened?
Well, the people were desperate to get the best of education possible for their children. And especially for professional people like Dr. Calloway. If they had not had the prospect of getting their children into a private school in the area, they probably would have sent them out to some boarding school. And so it was important for us to set up something as quickly as possible once we decided to go ahead. We're value-oriented. We were not just interested in teaching skills. We want to give the students a background of motivation and the importance of character building. And that comes primarily in not necessarily just church-related schools, but schools that are devoted to the development of the whole person.
Do you think the Catholic Church has done well supporting Catholic education?
Oh, absolutely. It becomes more and more apparent to me that the future of our country is in the quality of the education of the students. We want superior education for everybody that can afford it or can have access to it. And here we have the Catholic Church well established now in this country. There's no reason why the Catholic people, who are, you might say, one of the predominant forces in our society, there's no reason why we shouldn't have the schools that will provide those the character training that's needed, and especially to provide religious education. You can't just get it by going to church on Sunday. Especially nowadays, the youth are so distracted by other things. You have to discipline them for it, for religion as well as education. The youth are the future of our church. We can't afford to lose them. Yes.
But it comes at a cost.
Oh yes, it's not just a cost, a real sacrifice. Of course, we're trying to supply as many scholarship opportunities as possible, but you can't just give complete scholarships. If you do, you're going to fail, because the general populace simply won't support the load. It's going to have to come from those who are motivated for the individual student to get them through to the higher grades, so that they will have those values and those principles instilled in them, so that they can go ahead and utilize what they learn in the higher educational fields to be a real asset to our society.
You're speaking in very general terms about our society and our country and the church. Say Catholic churches went away. What would you see in 10, 15, 20 years? How do you think that would impact us?
I don't see a really, truly dedicated Catholic allowing that to happen. And I think that we've got enough support from outside the church to give us that motivation to continue to make the sacrifice that is necessary. I just can't conceive of modern day Catholicism remaining at the high standard of living that we have without Catholic education. I'm not just talking about breadwinning. I'm talking about living on a high plane of social standards that will enable us to lead the population, not just follow along. The Catholic Church provides a cultural background that is necessary for our society to endure on the level that it now stands.
What institutions, what people specifically, outside of the Christian community, outside of the Catholic community, do you see supporting them against this?
I think very highly of our Jewish people. We have a lot of supporters among the Jewish people.
You had some pushback from priests from within the parochial.
The other priests, especially the retired abbot of St. Leo, Abbot Fidelis Dunlap, he supported me 100%. I don't know if I would have succeeded to the extent I did without him. And incidentally, at the time we were planning this interparochial school, which would be located in Lecanto, in my own mind I was planning St.Scholastica Parish, because I figured that the closer we could locate a parish to the actual location of the school, the better opportunity or better chance that the school had of success. And I think I was right.
What are and what were your biggest dreams or aspirations for the students coming out of the school?
Well, I wasn't the only one with a wild dream or two. I was being urged, prodded really, to include with the planning a Catholic high school. But I don't think we're ready for that even yet. There's plenty of time ahead, but eventually I think we need a Catholic high school.
Tell me a little bit more about the obstacles.
One of the first obstacles I ran into was the Catholic superintendent of schools down in St. Petersburg. When he came up and looked at our temporary facilities, he said, "This doesn't fit the qualifications for a Catholic school in any shape or form." It was a wooden building, and it echoed every sound, you know. The kids going up the stairs, bang, 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 all of it. I said, "Don't worry about that, Monsignor, we can handle it." Even the pastors were not totally sold on the idea of the Catholic school because of the temporary facilities we had at the beginning, and they foresaw tremendous obligations on their part once the permanent facilities started to grow, and they weren't ready to take on that responsibility yet.
Do you think that still comes into play for people who, for priests at the 6 supporting parishes?
Well, we have a problem in Citrus County, I'd say in most of the semi-rural parts of the state, because our Catholic population is predominantly retiring. And they themselves feel like, well, I did my part, let the younger generation take over. Well, the trouble about the younger generation is that they have so many expenses other than the education of their children that it's almost more than they can handle, especially since I'd say the predominant Catholic population in this state is middle class. You don't have all that many people who are wealthy in Florida.
What do you think that would look like without the Catholic school?
I think anyone who's gone through the Catholic school system realizes that the Catholic schools are the bulwark of the church. You can have a church without a school, but it's so much easier and substantial to have a good Catholic education. You have to coordinate your religion with everything else that you learn and do and are, because basically we have to look upon ourselves as creatures of God, and we have to envision God on a spiritual, personal level. And He's not just up there out of sight and not concerned about us. He is within us. He's a part of us, and we have to be His emissary to the people and the society around us. It's not just a Sunday affair. It's a daily learning process, and the instilling of the principles that come out of the Scriptures.
So given that, what would you say to a priest who might not be as supportive of the Catholic educational philosophy?
Well, there are lots of people that don't have vision. There are a lot of people who are tunnel vision, so to speak. They've got a job to do and they're going to do it, and they don't want anything to interfere with what they're doing, and they don't want to be distracted too much. Well, to them, maybe a Catholic school is too much of a distraction. I know it's a lot of work going around and trying to find enough support to keep it going, but it's something that it's worth every bit of the effort that we put into it.
I have to cede to the pastors who followed me here the credit for these wonderful two buildings. Father Tom, of course, Father St.Scholastica over here, yeah, and of course Father Smith, who has brought this completion of the two buildings. I'm sure there'll be more. But it all started on the shores of Crystal River, and yeah, I remember it well. One afternoon, I was visiting the home of Emma Pilligan, and I'd heard that she had just come into a lot of money. And in the course of the conversation, I said to her, Emma, would you like some sort of a memorial to your grandfather and your father who built that plant that has just been sold, and a portion of the proceeds will come to you? She says, yes, I would. I mean, she was just that quick about it. And she said, well, how much will it take? I wasn't so quick. I said $1 million, I could have gotten $5 million. But we had to start. The school over here is a result of that, and this is a result of the school. And it all, you know, just like a train, one car followed the other. And I have to say that once the train started, I couldn't stop it. I wouldn't stop it. I just loved what I was doing, and I love all the people that I see assembled here together, especially the pastors who followed me. And of course, I can't forget Sister Loyola. Her name is going to be here right beside me, and it deserves to be here. In fact, you could change the names if you want to, but Sister Loyola out there on top of the building and me over here on the side. That's perfectly all right with me. God bless you all.